Comic Timing is a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 36, part 2 of Comic Timing, a comics podcast devoted to the average comic book fan from the average comic book fan. Join in as a rotating panel of guests and myself, Ian Levinstein, discuss whatever comes to mind, time after time, here on Comic Timing. Well, it's part 2 of episode 36, and we finally have Steve Bryant from Athena Voltaire on the show, and the recording didn't explode. Huzzah! Steve, Brent Casina / Nightwing BK, and myself go in-depth on independent comics, some of Steve's favorites, and some of our own, and the industry in general. Did I mention that it didn't get lost? Yay! Here now, Comic Timing. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 36, part 2 of Comic Timing. Now, obviously, with the last episode, I didn't say it was going to be a part 1, but it turned out to be one, as now I actually have on the line Steve Bryant, and I'm using equipment where it would not fail. So this is actually going to be an episode that comes out. How awesome is that? So Steve Bryant from Athena Voltaire is joining us right now, and I got to thank him for joining me, specifically while he's doing work. So thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. Man, thanks for your patience with, my bad tech karma.
Hey, well, dude, I couldn't stop your car from breaking down that one time, all right? So, oh, dude.
You put my tires.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah. I mean, it was like we had the worst timing in the world. Every single time we'd schedule something, either one of us would forget, or the other one would forget, or somebody's something would break down. So,
or the equipment would fail.
Exactly, or the equipment would fail. Luckily, that's not happening this time, hopefully. So, I don't want to jinx myself, but so far, so good. So, definitely welcome back to the show, Steve, for the first time.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by Brent Casina, Nightwing BK on the forums. You all know him already, and I know him too. What's up, Brent?
What's up?
Not much. What's going on, man?
Did you say episode 32 in the beginning?
Oh, 36. 36.
I thought you said 32.
36 part 2, man. What are you listening to?
Oh, part 2. See, I'm hearing things again.
I thought you said 36 part 2. No, 32 part 6.
32 part 6?
I just blew my own joke. I'm going to shut up.
Actually, no. This is episode 147. So we're all.
Oh, dog years. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Bark, 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 bark. My dog's in the other room, and hopefully we will not have that many barks on this episode. So. Dave
I've never heard any barks.
Oh, you're lucky, because actually last week, Dave, like right in the middle of a sentence, the dog just starts barking like crazy.
Well, that's because Dave speaks in a frequency that can only be heard by dogs. So it just drives him batshit. Can I say batshit?
Yeah.
Okay, batshit.
All right, well, let's get on with the episode here, and we're actually going to be talking about the other side of indies, as it were, because last episode we had Dave on, and he was talking mostly about the superhero side of indies, but now we've got a creator on who does the other side, the side that's a bit harder to break into, as it were, the side that is not really something that the big two cover that often, that's non-superhero comics. And Steve, obviously, with Athena Voltaire, you're doing an action comic, so it's a bit easier for you, but there is some difficulty breaking in there. But my first question, nice general question for you, Steve. What first drew you to indie comics in the first place?
You mean as a creator or as a reader?
In general, when you first discovered them.
Oh, geez. Bear in mind I'm a fossil.
Yeah.
So I'm probably, the age of you two guys combined. Laugh. I'm joking. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I remember picking up Nexus back in the 80s.
Okay.
Steve Rude's artwork was just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Dixon was writing Airboy, which was a lot of fun, too.
Okay.
And the production values of the indies, even back then, they were doing some things that Marvel and DC weren't doing, with the painted color and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you'd see some of it. It was kind of indie-ish when you would check out, like, the Epic line at the time, because that was creator-owned.
Yeah.
You had, like, Doug Munch and Paul Gulacy doing Six from Sirius for Epic and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun stuff.
I guess today's Epic line would be the Icon line?
Yeah, I think so. Because Epic launched when Jim Shooter was trying to compete with companies, giving creators their ownership and stuff like that. So you got Jim Starlin doing Dreadstar, Steve Englehart and Steve Lealoha, who's in Conceivable now, were doing Coyote. So yeah, that's pretty much the my history with when I started getting into indies. I loved Jaime Hernandez's work on Love and Rockets. Mm-hmm. And then later on, I kind of discovered, after the fact, Dave Stevens' Rocketeer, and discovered Mark Schultz doing Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Dinosaur Tales. And those things had a huge influence on how I draw. So
Yeah, well,
What was the question?
that was pretty much it, actually. But yeah, no, Rude's actually one of those creators that I've always wanted to look at more stuff from him, because he's always sort of eluded my grasps, and yet everybody praises him like nobody's business. So I gotta maybe trudge up some of his old indie stuff and try and find it down.
Hey, they're doing a Nexus book for Free Comic Book Day, so check it out.
Great, awesome. Okay, yeah, cool. Actually, for Free Comic Book Day this year, last year, I went about maybe 4 o'clock and missed almost every single book. So this year, I'm waking my ass up early. I'm getting there by noon, and I'm hopefully going to make it out to Midtown or Hanley's or both, and just like hit up every single free comic I can find, basically. And
get the Ape Sampler while you're at it,
definitely.
Just to let you know.
Yeah. You have stuff in the Ape Sampler, I assume?
Yeah, it's all new material. So it's a new Athena story, and then some new series they'll be launching. Bizarre New World, White Ticket Fences, Goblin Chronicles, Teddy Scares, and if I forget something, somebody's going to kick my ass. Go Gorilla.
There you go.
So I think that's everything that's in there.
Which is probably the most appealing name I've ever heard of in my life. Go Gorilla.
Oh, yeah. It's got snap, baby.
Oh, yeah. Hey, but also, go, and then Gorilla, right away I'm in, okay? Anything with gorillas, I know I'm not Tom Caters, but anything with gorillas, I'm automatically in for at least one issue, so hell yeah.
Well, it screams 1960s DC.
Uh-huh.
Because they had the go-go checks on as part of their trade dress, and, gorillas.
Oh, man, awesome. And that's actually, I'm glad you mentioned Free Comic Book Day, because that's a major part of the indie scene now that we didn't really have before. And it's a great way to get your books out there that you might not have had in previous years, because, you've got people picking up books. One of the main reasons why people don't pick up indies is because they cost so much money sometimes. But if you're giving away for free, what better way to hook you in than free?
Well, yeah, exactly. I know that when they first started Free Comic Book Day, they were looking to expand the overall audience. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure how well it works or how poorly it works. Let's face it, Ape or Marcosia or Arcana or any of us smaller publishers probably are not going to be bringing people in to sample the new wares, but it's a great opportunity for us to get some people that may have been curious about it but, weren't able to pick up the material.
Definitely, and Brett, you should be one of those people, because I know that you're on a college budget, as it were. So Free Comic Book Day, that is your friend, man.
Yeah, I hope to make it over to somewhere where they have free stuff.
Have you made it to Free Comic Book Day before? Or?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, I'd recommend checking it out because it's an experience in itself. Free Comic
Book. And the price is right.
Yeah,
it's on a Saturday. I'm usually there on a Wednesday, and there's no reason for me to go on a Saturday if I've already been that week and all that.
Now you have a reason.
Free stuff, dude.
Yeah,
that's a great reason.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And actually, some stores I know will do creator signings. Some will supply like snacks. I know my local shop always has like a radio remote and serves pizza and stuff. So it's cool.
That right away sounds appealing to me, man. Any sort of free food, and again, I'm there. So I think actually Hanley's might have done something like that last year.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I know. It's terrific, and it's a great way to get people in. Because again, free plus food, and right away, oh my God, you're getting everybody in there, whether they know what a comic is or not.
Well, that's part of it, though. You want to evangelize as best you can.
Definitely, yeah. And part of Free Comic Book Day and part of comic books in general is that the scene has changed a lot over the past couple of years. And most specifically, indies seem to have sort of had a bit of resurgence, at least from my look at it. Back in the 90s, and again, this is something I talked about with Dave for a while, in the 90s, things were sort of waning a bit. You didn't really find too many of the indies due to that whole, speculator era. You had pretty much the big two. That's it. Now we're sort of getting back to that indie scene again, and I'm glad to see it back, and hopefully stronger than ever here. What do you see the indie world as right now? Compare it to, say, the 80s. Are we in another resurgence right now?
Well, I think you've had some really cool indie periods. We talked about when I was going into them in the 80s. And, the early 90s, if you look at, like, Wizard or Hero magazine from the early to mid-90s before the speculator crash, there was tons of indie stuff being covered in those magazines. At the time you had, in addition to the launch of Image, Malibu had their Bravura line with Howard Chaykin and Walt Simonson, and James Robinson, I think, was part of it. I know he was also part of the Ultraverse.
Okay.
And you had the Legend guys at Dark Horse, which is where Mike Mignola launched Hellboy, and you had Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow doing the big guy and Rusty the Boy Robot. and Miller and Dave Gibbons doing Martha Washington, and Miller was doing Sin City and 300, and Byrne was doing Next Man and Danger Unlimited. And you had Art Adams doing Monkey Man and O'Brien, the greatest comic of all time,
yeah.
or at least the greatest title. I love that book.
Oh, hell yeah.
And, I mean, you had the Gage and Studios guys were going to be doing some stuff for Dark Horse under their Blanc Noir line. I think Joe Phillips released a book, and then the line kind of fizzled a bit. I don't know why. But, I mean, there was a great thing for indies at the beginning of the 90s, and, yeah, it did kind of fade a bit. I think Eric Larson has certainly been aggressive with what Image is pursuing.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the whole Robert Kirkman chunk of books over there, I mean, that's a hell of a line just, you know, to start with that. And then, you know, you've got everybody that survived Speakeasy landing at Abe and Marcosia and stuff like that. Arcana certainly looks like a great place, too. So, yeah, I think things are kind of bouncing back.
I think that's part of it, though. I mean, you mentioned, you know, the decline or the fall of certain lines, and that's a major problem there because, I mean, you could be an indie creator and have a wonderful book with a wonderful premise and a wonderful plot, and then the company fails. And then what do? You got to go out there and you got to find yourself something new. I mean, you yourself have experienced that, you know, once with the whole Speakeasy decline and all that. You're lucky you found yourself a new home. But it's very difficult to be an indie creator and have to worry that, you know, is my story going to continue long enough for the line to survive? I
still remember seeing people posting on the Newsarama boards, you know, when Speakeasy, when their death was announced.
Yeah.
And there were just tons of people that would say, well, I knew this was going to happen. That's why I didn't buy any of their books. Well, if the books were intriguing to you, I mean, if you didn't buy them because you thought they looked like crap, you know, don't buy anything that looks like crap. I think that's a great rule of thumb. But if you thought they looked good but were afraid the company was going to go away, aren't you kind of doing a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that. You know, by not picking up indies, they're pretty much just putting, you know, like, hey, that's one less copy that just got sold.
Well, CrossGen broke a lot of people's hearts, too. Mine included. You know, when that company went away, I think, you know, some people kind of have that jilted lover type of vibe going, you know, never again. Oh. You know, that kind of thing.
I would hand you a hanky if I could, but this is the internet. So. Brett, did you happen to pick up any of the CrossGen stuff when it was around, or?
I bought all of the compendiums, like, before Christmas break from somebody on the forums for like $20. I guess it was 13 trades, and they're all like, you know, $17.95 each. So I really ripped them off, or he ripped himself off because he put them up there. But so I read all that. So in there was Ruse, Sigil, Mystic, Scion, and the First. Mm-hmm. So it was like a lot of the main stuff, and I really liked it. I was kind of sad that I got to the end of the compendiums.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because there's no more cross-gen. A lot of those books will never see the light. You know, we'll never see a continuation. But
yeah,
did you happen to pick up a Batazad at all?
No, I don't think so.
Steve, were you into that when it was around?
Yeah, I picked up the first couple floppies because I remember, you know, Mike Plug from when, you know, he was doing Marvel stuff back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up those issues, and I've got the little hardcovers. I've got a 6-year-old son, so I'll be sharing those with him probably in about another year and a half. But that was just a beautiful book.
And that was one of the lucky ones, because that's with Disney now, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I say one of the lucky ones because, well, just the fact that there are some cross-gen books that found a home afterwards, because that was a bridge gapper in the essence where my girlfriend at the time didn't really read that many comics, but she would find comics that seemed appealing to her, and of all things, most of the comics that she picked up were indie comics. She picked up Blue Monday from Oni. She picked up Hopeless Savages, again from Oni, and a couple of other ones here and there, but Batazad was definitely one of those. And when I told her that this is the last issue that I'm going to be able to pick up, you know, she had this frown on her face, like, this is like one of the few comics I'm into. What the hell am I going to do? I'm like, this is the comic book industry right here, so I'm sorry. You know, there's not much I can really say about that.
What was that about Batazad?
It's almost like a fairy tale, I guess is the best way to put it. There's this whole fairy tale world where, and again, I read this ages ago, so it's on the tip of my tongue right now, and I hope I'm explaining it right. A kid has been reading these Batazad books, and ends up inside the world. Am I remembering that right, Steve?
Yeah, and it's obviously like an amalgamation of L. Frank Baum, who did the Oz books, and Alice in Wonderland, and just classic children's books. You could tell that Abatazad was kind of an affectionate look at those sorts of adventures.
Yeah. Again, I'm glad that it has a continuation. I know that the first book has come out since then. I'm gonna have to track that down eventually, just because I need to remember what the hell I read. And it's hard enough for me. I live in a really, really small apartment, and my comics are everywhere. So it's difficult enough for me to track down stuff that I read last week, let alone like 3 years ago. So yeah, I need a major combing through my collection. So instead, I'll get the trade.
You don't have them in boxes?
Dude, no. There's no room in my house for boxes. I swear to God.
So you don't file or bag and board either?
I bag and board, but I don't really file too much.
Okay, so I would still make you like scream if you saw my setup, because I don't file or bag or board.
Ooh.
I'll make John Mayo scream.
Yeah, I mean, John's got the most organized collection out of all of us, I think. So
I think he's got the biggest collection.
Well, that too. I mean, his collection is the size of Rhode Island. So
yeah.
If I had to spend time organizing, though, I'd be even later on everything.
My organization is putting stuff on my chair until it falls over. That's when I know I need to put stuff away.
I'm just waiting until my kid's old enough to file it for me. Hey, son, we're going to really work on those ABCs. And when you're done, you can eat.
Now, Avengers, that's A. There you go. That works.
That's alphabet right there.
I'd never do that to him. I'm going to have him do my background instead. Ink, boy, ink.
I wouldn't be surprised if some creators do it. So yeah, but and you're one of the lucky ones because again, you're with Ape Entertainment. You start with A.
I've heard that theory somewhere.
Yes. Because again, Comic Geek Speak. I listen to it all the time. I'm sure most of us do. That theory was brought up, and that's one of the major problems that a lot of the indie books come with now. If they're too far in previews, nobody's going to find them because that thing is freaking huge. So most people give up around, maybe L if they're lucky, but nobody's going to get to Z. So if you're like Zion Publishing, you're dead.
No, I think you're entirely right. Well, I mean, it's one of those things, too, of, we're in an era when Ed Brubaker, when he launched Criminal through Marvel's Icon line, was still contacting retailers to let them know that his book exists. I mean, how many pages do you have in previews? Like 490 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, let's say that a third of those are ads. So, we'll take it down to 300 pages, that aren't ads.
Yeah.
You have, 6, 8 items per page?
Yeah.
So we'll average it. We'll say 7. So that's 2,100 items in previews. And you're hoping that somebody's going to come across your cover and say, that's the book for me. I mean, you got to call retailers. You got to do podcasts. You got to be on message boards and try to let people know you exist.
You have to name your comic book company AAA Zilch.
I would actually just name it after my email address, Atomic Tiki Studio.
There we go. Yeah.
Because I like the tikis and I like all things atomic.
Yeah. And Tiki Bar TV right there.
Excellent. Isn't it a podcast or something, like a video podcast?
That is, yeah. It's a drink podcast. It's about, I think it's about 10, 15 minutes long, and it's one of the most popular vidcasts out there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, there you go. They were on the most recent This Week in Tech. That's the reason why they're in my head right now, because I just listened to that on the ride into work today. So This Week in Tech with Leo Laporte from the Tech TV.
I don't have it on my cable. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to get G4.
Well, G4 is what Tech TV used to be. Tech TV got bought by G4. And now there's one program left from Tech TV on G4. And of course, what is that but XPlay? Their video game review show. So all the tech shows are all gone. The only place you can find tech shows now are on the internet via podcast. So all those guys who used to do shows on Tech TV now have all their stuff on various vidcasts and podcasts, that sort of stuff. So tangent number 1. There you go. But
that's Tech TV, for those of you interested.
Yes, indeedy. Ha-ha. Go and check out DL.TV for Patrick Norton and Robert Heron from the Tech TV years as they do their own version of the screensavers. Yeehaw.
Are they paying for your advertising?
No.
Okay, then stop.
Yeah.
Trying to help you out here.
Exactly. Thank you. And again, we talked about previews and all that. That's a difficult hurdle. Is there any other way other than previews to get your name out there? I mean, obviously, sure, you can get yourself on forums and all that, or you can get yourself on, random advertisements on random websites, but what other ways are there to advertise yourself other than previews?
Well, I don't really view previews as so much of an advertisement, though. I mean, it's, pretty much the ordering catalog. So I think that's, kind of a necessity. And, yeah, I mean, the rest of it is just, back when we had a webcomic, I contacted every reviewer that I thought would, possibly be interested. So, I sent tons of people emails. Most of them didn't respond. That's just part of it. And then when we were going into print, I emailed probably 1,500 retailers and, maybe heard back from 100 of them. So that's just, part of the way it goes. You've got to be persistent without being a jerk. But there's really no other ways. It's previews and, websites, podcasts, and talking directly to the retailers.
And not to turn this into a previews episode, but should previews be as dominating as it is? I mean, should there be other alternatives out there? I mean, do you feel that the market would be better, specifically the indie market, if there were perhaps maybe 2 or 3 different distributors out there that people could go through?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's also not Diamond's fault that, okay, the whole reason why we have one distributor, don't you?
Yeah. Well, let's explain it to the listeners, though, because I don't know if everybody does. So,
what was it, maybe 93? 94?
Something like that. Yeah.
Marvel decided they wanted to own a distributorship. So they bought Heroes World. And it was just going to be to distribute Marvel, and it was going to be the only place you could get Marvel.
Yeah.
When that happened, the other distributors like Diamond, and at the time there was Capital City out of Madison, Wisconsin, and there were a few others, but those were the 2 big ones. They were scrambling to line up exclusives. And Diamond get Dark Horse, or was Dark Horse originally with both?
I think they were originally with both, actually.
But I know Diamond got DC, and Cap City, for the most part, their exclusives were companies like Kitchen Sink, maybe Fantagraphics. I'm not really sure about that, but eventually Kitchen Sink went away, and Marvel realized running a distributorship is hard, and Heroes World folded, and suddenly Diamond was the last man standing.
Yeah.
So, it's on the one hand, it would sure be nice to have more distributors, but it's not like Diamond said, we're going to screw everybody over. It just kind of happened,
Process of elimination.
Exactly.
And again, not much that you can really do about that. And, I mean, I myself don't pick up previews. The way that I find out about books usually is by word of mouth or seeing it on the shelf and, getting interested in it. I know that's not the best way in the world for most people, but that's how I do my shopping. Brent, do you go through previews, or do you just shelf shop?
Shelf shop. I don't have time to go through a phone book a month between school and everything else that I want to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing, time. Not many people have time to do that. And Steve, actually, it's a good question to ask you. Do you go through previews yourself? I mean, do you look through previews first before you buy your stuff, or do you just go with what you see?
Yeah, I look through it. I've done a couple of orders through DCBS, and my local shop owner's really good about stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I feel like, even when I'm on a limited budget, mostly because I've been on this side of things, I know that pre-orders determine a lot of the times if a book's even going to get printed. Mm-hmm. Because, most creators are doing this on a shoestring. They've got a day job.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the publisher will say to the creators, well, your pre-orders are not going to cover your print run. You need to cough up $800 or $1,000 or whatever, or we can't do the book. And, my heart goes out to those guys. So, if there's something I really like and really want to see it published, I try to speak with my dollar. I mean, that comes from a place that I know what it's like to be on this side of things. Mm-hmm. So I'd be kind of a hypocrite if I didn't do it.
And then there's guys like Dave, like we had him on, last episode. He was saying that his book, Scar Tissue, does not go through previews. I mean, his is solely through, his own promotion to get stuff out there.
Which, yeah, I just, man, the level of commitment that would take to, be in charge of all aspects of publishing. He's got my vote, because that's more than I'm able to do.
And I hear you there, man. I mean, honestly, as myself, I have no, and again, I've said this time and time again, I have no artistic ability whatsoever, all right? And I mean, I can write, but I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I could just imagine how much of a difficult it would be for me to have, say a day job and then be handling, like a comic book company on the side to publish indie books. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tough enough just to coordinate all the people you have helping you out, let alone having to handle printing and selling at all times.
That's what a lot of people have to go through. So, yeah, there you go. Now, you specifically, I know that you're not a superhero book. How hard is it to get through people's heads that there is stuff other than superhero books out there? Because, again, when you look at the big two, DC and Marvel, their most popular stuff is superheroes. We live in a superhero world. How difficult is it to get into people's heads? Knock, knock, there's other stuff out there. I
think it's easier to be an indie book that's not a superhero book. And actually, I think this is on our long-lost episode. Yep. Ian, you want me to go through my theory again?
Go ahead, because I'm the only one who knows it. So.
Okay, I think you're going to remember it, too, if you don't.
Okay.
Let's say that you and I decide to do a book that is, just the most incredible rethinking of a superhero. An archery superhero. We'll call him Red Arrow, okay?
Okay.
Say that someone's flipping through the previews catalog, and they're going, man, I really miss Hawkeye. And they see this ad for Red Arrow, and they go, man, that looks pretty cool. And Ian, you and I both know that, like, Alan Moore cries himself to sleep wishing that he could write something as good as Red Arrow. I mean, for the sake of this story, let's say that it really is the most brilliant reimagining of a superhero book ever.
Yeah.
But our person that's flipping through the catalog has never heard of either of us.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, Red Arrow, that's pretty cool. I miss Hawkeye. I have a hole in my heart for an archery superhero. I may get this. But, man, that kind of reminds me of Green Arrow, too. I'm going to go check out that in the previews catalog. And they look at that section of the DC catalog, and they see not only is there a Green Arrow ongoing series, but you've got a whole catalog, whole back catalog of, Kevin Smith and Brad Meltzer and Phil Hester and Judd Winnick, all these guys doing Green Arrow. I mean, you kind of weigh that, and you look and you say, well, this indie company may not be around next week. So who do you think they're going to order? They're going to order Green Arrow.
Sure, yeah.
But if you and I were to do a book about werewolves with jetpacks, you can look through the rest of the previews catalog, and there are no werewolves with jetpacks. So if that concept grabs you, if you go, man, that's a pretty neat idea, werewolves with jetpacks, then the only place that you can get that is from us. And it doesn't have to be an original idea, but if it's unique in the marketplace, people can be a little more forgiving if you're, late with your deadlines, which is, a reality with indie stuff because most people have a day job.
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing this 24/7. So if you've got a concept that isn't being serviced by the rest of the industry, I think people will tend to follow it. I think doing a superhero book would be really hard because you are competing with Alan Moore or Warren Ellis or Robert Kirkman or whatever.
And note to self, I want werewolves with jetpacks.
Every time I tell that story, I just think, that'd be really cool to draw.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Seriously, I am going to find one of these days in the Theda Voltaire story werewolves with jetpacks, and I will know exactly why.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Kirkman's got a new book coming out for Free Comic Book Day.
Uh-huh.
The Astonishing Wolfman.
Uh-huh.
So werewolves are the new zombies, who were the new pirates, who were the new ninjas. So you're going to have a whole lot of werewolves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And mine are going to have jetpacks. The Wolfeteer.
Oh, my God. And seriously, though, I want this in a book, man. I want this in a book sometime within the next, say, year or so. I want me some werewolves with jetpacks, all right? Anybody listening to this who's a creator, okay? You can use this idea.
No, you can't, bitches. Mine.
Yours. Yes. But you get the idea. Make it happen. And Brett, actually, this is a good thing to ask you. When given a choice between a big two superhero book and an indie superhero book, even if it's something that might seem intriguing to you, which one would you choose, a big two or indie? To read or to work on?
What do you mean?
Well, to read. Big two or indie. Let's say you've got one superhero story on one side, one superhero story on the other side. You've got maybe $5 to spend on another book. Which one do you pick up? And again, it's like maybe, say, a low-level character on the DC and Marvel side. It's not, say, like Batman or Superman we're talking about here. It could be like, Ambush Bug.
So if it was like Invincible versus Blue Beetle?
Exactly. Yeah. If you only had, a certain amount of money to spend, which would you choose, the big 2 book or the indie book?
Well, I'm currently picking up Blue Beetle and not Invincible. But, I mean, I'm hearing good things about Invincible. I want to read it, but it's just the money. It's just the money issue. And I know they have trades and hardcovers to catch up on, but right now it's easier to read Blue Beetle. But if they both started in like the same week and they're staring right at me next to each other, I don't know, just depending on the idea behind it, I could probably go either or.
And same question, only change the indie book to a non-superhero book, and what do you do?
I don't know. It just depends on the idea. I mean, I don't have a particular bias or towards superheroes or anything. The one indie book I picked up recently was Revelations from Dark Horse.
Okay.
Did you get that?
I didn't. Did you, Steve?
Was that the Paul Jenkins Humberto Ramos book?
Yeah, about the Catholic Church.
The artwork looked beautiful, but I haven't picked it up.
I picked it up specifically for the artwork, and it turned out to be a great read, so I was pretty happy with that one. But that's the only one that's really grabbed me that I could jump onto for 6 months, because it was a miniseries and then end. And it wasn't going to be like a huge time commitment.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, it just depends on the circumstances. I mean, I don't think any reader is biased. It's just they're already involved in the big 2 with all of their books, whether they may be Jonah Hex or Superhero or Vertigo or whatever. I'm jumping into the Y the Last Man trades now, and it's just whenever I have extra money, I'm going to go buy a trade of that, and I'm going to do that with other series as well. It's just, it's just time and money.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with most consumers. I mean, if you had unlimited amounts of money, like you're a single bachelor, I mean, I don't know how much John Mayo spends, but, I mean, he doesn't have to, I can't speak for him, but, I mean, I certainly have to pay for other things, college and books and all that stuff. And people who have families, I mean, if you have a high income and stuff, you could buy however much you want. So you have to balance your money and balance your time, and I think that's where indie books get forgotten. Yeah. And besides that, because I went into when I was in Orlando for spring break, I went into the main comic shop there, and we had, I don't know, it's like a 16 or 20 foot wall where he has all the new books.
Okay. And
he has DC and Marvel and all their subsidiaries basically on either side.
Okay.
And they have indies in the middle.
Yeah.
But indies is like a fifth of the wall for all of the different companies.
Whoa.
So I looked for, since I've been listening to CGS and stuff, I looked for Mark Hosea comics. I didn't see him. I looked for Abe comics. I was looking for Athena Voltaire. Didn't see it on that shelf, All I saw were maybe some Oni. I saw some Transformers, like the Image stuff. I saw all of that. Saw all of the Dark Horse. I guess it's just wall space too. I mean, they don't. Maybe with comic shops, they don't want to have to file it and everything like that.
Well, yeah, I think they don't want to get stuck with them, and I completely understand where the retailers are coming from because, I mean, some of these guys. The industry's a lot healthier now than it was, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, 10 years ago. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits a dollar.
All for the Gators, stand up and holler.
That's right. We've got Florida representing.
That's one of our cheers.
But I almost knocked my light box off my table with that.
Nicely done.
I mean, the retailers are they're fighting for their well-being too, so they want to be able to know they can sell something, and that's kind of where it falls on the creators or the publishers or both to alert the retailers as to what they're making.
Yeah. Because
I can't blame the retailer for not carrying everything under the sun because, for every person like yourself that goes in and looks for a Marcosia book or an Ape book, there's 20, 30 people that have never heard of those companies and are perfectly content not knowing that those companies exist. And that's fine, too. You should only buy what you want, what you like. But, by the same token, if a creator is doing a book that is in the same vein as a movie that you like and you've got $3 extra, go for it. I kind of lost where I was going. Is this tangent number 2?
No, that's
No.
actually, I understood every single word you were saying there, man. And I mean, it's right on the money pretty much, because that's a catch-22 that guys like me fall into. Because again, like I said, I don't read previews. I don't pre-order my comics. I go into the comic shop and I buy my books. Now, I'm lucky, okay, because I live in New York City, and my main comic shop right now is Midtown Comics. Not everybody has a Midtown Comics that carries almost every single book. Not everybody has the type of section where they have literally almost the exact same size section for indies that they do for Marvel and DC.
If you're in New York or you're in Chicago or you're in LA, you're probably covered and can find anything you want after like 1 or 2 stops.
Sure.
But everybody else has to be a little more, both the retailers and the consumers. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard sell. And I agree that it is a case-by-case basis if I have $5. You know, it comes down to, book A or book B. Strangely enough, I'm not getting Blue Beetle, but I am getting Invincible.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, I mean, I haven't checked out Blue Beetle, but that doesn't mean that it's not a great book. You know, I wasn't checking out the all-new Atom until Mike Norton got on there, and I went, wow, this is a really good book. You know, so I think you're going to have some of that where it's the creative team or a buzz or a recommendation. It's so personal to, you know, what everybody's criteria for choosing a book is.
Well, which of course means that you'll be picking up Blue Beetle when Freddie E. Williams does the fill-in issue, because obviously that's Freddie E. Williams, man. I mean, come on, you got to support Freddie E. Williams.
He's really good, too. CBR just had an article on how he and Adam Beechin were returning that title to its Chuck Dixon glory.
Oh.
The reviewer really liked the Dixon run.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I think Freddie is, like, kicking some major ass with, you know, establishing himself. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and I mean, his Robin stuff, honestly, that is the best Robin I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I've been a fan of Robin. The first DC comic I ever read regularly was Young Justice, so I've been following Robin for a long time now. And that is the best-looking Robin, even inching out Todd Nauck. Because, again, that was my Robin, the guy that, you know, whenever I saw Robin, that's who I saw in my head. You know, Todd Nauck's version of Tim Drake. And
right.
I think Freddie E. Williams' version of Robin has eclipsed that in my head, and that takes a lot to do.
Well, it's obvious that Freddie has a real affinity for the character, too.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. You know, you can get some guys that are just brilliant draftsmen, but if you put them on the wrong character, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I mean, tying things back to indies, with indie books is even more important that you got to have a full package. You know, you can't have bad writing with gorgeous art and expect people to pick it up, just like you can't have, you know, a wonderful story with subpar art and expect people to pick it up. You have to have that full package because indie books are indie books. You know, they have to have an appeal, a full appeal to everybody out there. So, again, I'm not going to pick up a book just because of the pretty pictures. I barely do that with Marvel and DC, but on occasion I will admit that I do that. But with indies, it almost always has to be a full package.
Well, yeah, indies are a weird beast because what you say is true, but also by the same token, most indies tend to be miniseries. So it's a finite commitment for the reader.
Uh-huh.
And let's face it, if somebody latches on to the black coat, they're not going to go, screw Civil War. You know, they're going to say, I'm on the black coat for 4 issues, and I know that's all the more it's going to go, and it's $12.
Yeah.
Or $14 or whatever. And people can handle that level of commitment. So, I mean, that's one of the things that works for an indie book if it's got great writing and great art is, you know, it's bite-sized pieces. You're not having to buy into a whole universe.
Yeah, and actually that's a good question to ask to the entire panel here. Would you rather pick up an indie book that is an ongoing or one that you know has a finite end? And I'm thinking in particular here, Girls is probably the best example for me because Girls by the Luna Brothers. I picked that up. I picked up the first trade because I'd heard wonderful things about it. I loved their art on the Spider-Woman miniseries that came out a little while back, the Origins book,
right.
book that they did. And I realized I needed more Luna Brothers. So I went out there. I bought Volume 1 of Girls. I could not wait for more of it. So I picked up Volume 2, and then from there, I tracked down the back issues and I caught up. So now here I am, and I am 1 issue away from the end of Girls. And if they had decided to continue this book past this point and made it a forever, infinite amount of books that they want to put out until there's an ending, I would continue to pick it up. But I know that the next issue that I pick up is the last issue of Girls. So what am I going to do? From there, I find a new indie book, a new either limited series or regular series to fill that gap in my schedule. And it's probably going to be a mini-series because that way I can read more books that way. But, and what to you guys, are you going to go for the mini-series over the regular series, or are you going to go for the regular series over the mini-series, knowing the fact that you'll be able to pick this up for as long as you want and not have to worry about it being away? Steve, over to you.
Well, I think you point out Girls, and that's an interesting choice because it's an ongoing that's also finite.
Yeah.
Because how many issues was the whole run?
23 was the last one that just came out, so it's a 24-issue series.
So, you're talking about something that's like just under a third of the length of, or just over a third of the length of Y the Last Man. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an ongoing, because you've been buying it for 2 years.
Yeah.
But as both a creator and a consumer, I really like the Hellboy model.
Uh-huh.
A series of limited series, because it is a finite commitment, both as a reader and as a creator. And theoretically, present company accepted, the book should be able to come out on time, or at least a lot more timely. That's something I realize that I stumbled with and I'm working on. So I think that's just a great approach. You have a 4, 5, 6 issue story. You tell it. You move along, and if sales justify, you can do a trade.
Mm-hmm.
So as a creator and as a reader, I really like the limited series because I know for the next 2 months I'm going to get Hellboy or I'm going to get DPRD or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Top 10 is another one that for me was like that because, well, I picked up Top 10 Volume 1 and Volume 2, in the trades, but then when Smacks came out, I picked up Smacks as it was going on, knowing that, Smacks was a limited series.
Right.
And I know that, once I'm done with that, I'm done with that. I'm either going to be spending less money every month or moving on to another book. For me, being the absolute insane person that I am, it's probably moving on to another book. And, now I'm looking towards my schedule now, and I'm like, hey, guess what? Next month, Girls is done. In about 4 or 5 months, well, depending, because I think Y the Last Man has gone bi-monthly now, but whenever that's done, in 5 more issues, Y the Last Man's done. That's another book. I've got other miniseries in both DC and Marvel that are ending. Martian Manhunter just ended. That's one less book for me. So I'm thinking now that I want to branch myself out and pick up more of these indie books, and for me right now, what better way to pick up books than through the limited series model?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, to me right now, limited series are the way to go. But if something is ongoing, say if you start at issue 1, I'm likely to at least give it a shot on issue 1 and maybe go from there. But if it's like issue 10 or 11 in an ongoing already, don't expect me to pick it up.
What about if they're doing trades?
If they're doing trades, then I might pick up the first 6 in trade. But I'll probably stick with trade, unless it's a really, really incredible book. The only exceptions for me recently for that rule were Fables, Y the Last Man, and Girls. I
was actually expecting to hear The Walking Dead in there, because that's the crack title that once people latch onto it,
yeah,
they can't wait for the trades and have to go to the floppy model.
It's funny. I have those first 2 trades sitting on my shelf. I got halfway through the first trade, and I don't know. For some reason, my interest wasn't in it. I'm not sure why, because it seems like it would be my type of book. It's zombies, number one. I love zombies. And it seemed like an interesting enough plot, but it just really didn't hook me. I might have to just sit down and just read again, starting from the first issue, and then just go. I actually started reading this about a month after CGS did Walking Dead as their book of the month. So that's how long ago I started reading this. And now I'm thinking I might have to just start from the beginning and see maybe if it catches me that way. See,
it's one that I'd like to read, but given the not so much the zombie nature, but the nature of the kind of drama that Kirkman is telling with his characters, my biggest concern is I can see getting hooked on something like that, and I right now have a real problem with, kids in peril type of storylines, and if a kid gets bumped off, that's just not something I can read right now.
Sure, yeah.
And I just think probably given some of the hard choices he's putting in that book, I may read something that would make me very uncomfortable at this stage in my life. So I'm like, well, I just don't want to commit to it yet. When my resistance is a little stronger, I'll check it out.
Well, and again, it's funny again because I'm saying this because I eat up Marvel Zombies like nobody's business. I mean, Marvel Zombies.
That's a pull quote. Can we put that on the back of one?
Yeah. I eat up Marvel Zombies like nobody's business. Right away, right there. If anybody's listening who's involved with the Marvel, creative department who wants to put that as a cover blurb, do it. Because
use that, but not werewolves with jetpacks.
Yes, because that's
mine.
That's yours, and mine by proxy. But I think it might just be the fact that it's characters I'm so familiar with the Marvel Zombies. And it's stemming out of an arc of a comic that I already was reading, Ultimate Fantastic Four, that when Marvel Zombies started up, and again, it's the same creative team. It's the exact same creative team, correct, of Walking Dead?
I think that Sean Phillips, who is doing Criminal and did Sleeper with Ed Brubaker's drawn Marvel Zombies, and I think Walking Dead was originally Tony Moore and is now Charlie Adlard.
Okay, all right. So it's
I'm such an art nerd,
dude. That's a good thing because again, I know art, but I don't know exactly who's doing what. So that's my problem. So thank you for knowing that. But
seriously, you can take the CGS boys and do, Stump the Rios and Stump the Murd, and all that stuff goes right past my head. But if you want to start talking about which creators shared a studio in 1978, I'm like, it was these guys. That's what the crap that I remember.
Yeah, Brent, we were talking about the appeal of a limited series indie book versus an ongoing, mostly because of the fact that you can just, when you're picking up a limited series, it's limited. When you're picking up an ongoing, well, you're on that series unless you decide to drop it. When you're picking up a new indie book, would you rather pick it up as a limited, or would you rather be in an ongoing?
I'd rather pick it up as a limited. Like I said, what was it? Humberto Ramos, Paul Jenkins Revelations.
Uh-huh.
I picked that up because it was a mini. It wasn't an ongoing. It wasn't something I had to, commit to. It was 6 issues, and I wanted to start, so I gave it a try for the first 2, and I said, this is good enough that I can get the other 4. And so I did it. I'm happy I did it. And it's less of a time commitment, and I mean, other people might wince, you're not a comic fan or whatever, or that's not fully supporting a book, but I mean, if Steve can get more issues out as a miniseries than he could as an ongoing, and if it fits the format better, I think, just like I read the preview last night that's online for Athena Voltaire,
yeah,
and it seems like if you have individual adventures, in the same way that Hellboy does, it fits better as miniseries. And that way you can work on them, and then you can move on, and readers can forget about it, and then the next time a new miniseries pops up, they can go, oh yeah, I want to get this. Because they've had maybe 8 months or so to spend their money on other things, and they decide that they miss it. Whereas if you're getting if you're picking up Batman right now, Grant Morrison's run ended, and then that fill-in came on. Well, that fill-in was bad. I'm sorry. I did not like it for anything.
Yeah.
So I would have... if that were an indie book and I knew that Grant Morrison wasn't coming back, I would have dropped it then and there. But if it's a miniseries, you could just drop the miniseries and wait and see what the next one's like.
Sure. Yeah. And what about versus the finite ongoing, as it were? Like we were talking about Girls, which is a 24-issue series, pretty much. It's ending with the next issue that comes out. And I've been picking it up in trade and then eventually went to the floppies. And once issue 24 comes out, that's it. No more Girls, but it was there for 24 issues. Just like Ex Machina, it has a set final issue, or at least not a final issue, but we know when it's going to end at the end of his mayorship. That's probably when it's going to end.
Ends at issue 60?
Ends at issue 60, that sort of thing. Would you be more willing to go for, say, the finite, the finite ending sort of book?
Well, like Y the Last Man, I don't see that as a finite run when you're talking about it in a monthly format.
Yeah.
60 months is a long time. That's a 5-year book. Mm-hmm. If that's how long the creator wants to stay on it, then yeah, but I wouldn't describe the series as that. You could say that he started the series and decided to end it at issue 60. But I don't think he started off saying, I'm going to go for 5 years or whatever.
He actually, if I remember correctly, he pretty and again, I could be wrong on this, and Steve, you can call me out on this also if you know it. But didn't he announce very early on that the series was going to go 60 issues, or am I remembering it wrong?
I know that he said it was a limited thing, and I don't know if he pulled out 60, but he gave like an approximation of how long it was going to go.
Okay.
And I mean, didn't Brian Azzarello do this a similar thing with 100 Bullets?
I think so. I could be wrong. I didn't follow 100 Bullets, so I wouldn't be the person to ask that, but I'm almost positive he did the same sort of thing.
And I mean, James Robinson said he had an ending planned out for Starman. He never said it was going to be, what was it, 80, 82, something like that,
yeah. But going back, so again, you feel like that's more like an ongoing than a finite ending. It's just has an ending.
Yeah, a finite series, when you're talking to me, sounds like Girls. 12 issues, 24 issues, and that's it. If you get past 24, 25 is going to, they're still there, but if you're going for 36 or on, that sounds like an ongoing series, because it's an ongoing commitment for at least 3 years.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas if you just did it, if you wanted a finite series, you could do, three miniseries of 4 issues or whatever. Like, I think Hellboy has 5 trades out now or something, and a couple other 2. You could call that, I mean, that's not really a finite series, but each story kind of moves on from the past one, but you don't have to go back and reread them to understand what's going on in the trade you're reading.
Yeah.
So I would say miniseries versus the finite series idea.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Just because it frees up, I think it frees up the budget a little more.
Sure.
I mean, if you have a success and you can do 60 issues, 4 times 4 times 4 to whatever gets to 60 or whatever, if you can have 15 miniseries of 4 issues, then that's a success. Then you could call that a finite series if you wanted to stop after that. But, if that's what's working for you, why would you?
Yeah, and one of the problems with indies, and again, I'm sure both of you are going to agree with this, is that even if you do have a finite series, even if you think it in your head, this is going to be a 30-issue series. Well, that's great. What if you get canceled at issue 10?
Yeah, that's a long time, 30 issues, when you think about it. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the numbers compared to other things, but in real time, that's a long time.
I mean, isn't that what Arvid Nelson's plan was for Rex Mundi?
Uh-huh.
And I know that he and Eric J., the original artist on the series, parted ways a few issues in, and it kind of derailed his book for a while. And I think going to Dark Horse, helped get him back on track. But yeah, I mean, that's a hell of an ambitious plan to just say it's going to be ongoing for 2.5 years, or if you're bi-monthly, that's 5 years.
Oh, yeah. And again, you say bi-monthly, well, how about late books? Because that can be a pain in the ass, too. If you say that, we're going to be around for 5 years, definitely 60 issues. Well, if you're one of those, creative teams that doesn't exactly go by schedule, 60 issues could take a hell of a lot longer than 5 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I ran into that with a 4-issue series. Sometimes life things come up and completely derail you in a way that you weren't planning. And I can only see it like snowballing even worse if you're planning on a 12-issue series or a 24 or 30 or whatever. You don't want to piss people off. You don't want to give people a reason to stop buying your book.
Yeah. And again, you never want to give anybody a reason to stop buying your book. You want people to get a reason to buy your book. That's a very important thing there, right there. Yes.
You slowed down when you said that. Have I pissed too many people off on message boards?
No.
Sometimes I don't know when to shut up.
No. That's a general thing to everybody out there. Because way too many people, all right? Now, again, I'm not naming names for anybody, but I know way too many people out there who, through their own words, make me not want to read their stories. Indie or not. So, and again, you're definitely one of the good ones, man. All right.
Well,
no matter what you might think, but yeah,
you're not Daniel Way telling people to fuck off.
Well, I swear, man, there are some creators, some of whom I really like their work, that I just want to go over and cut their high-speed access. I want to break their cable modems because it's like, shut up. You're making me not like you, and I grew up loving your work. So
yeah, some people really burn people a little too much, if you know what I mean.
I didn't name any names.
Yeah, I mean, when what I really hate when you go to a restaurant and your food comes out burned. Thank you very much.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Oh, I know. I'm putting words in my mouth. John Byrne.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. I said it. There. All right.
You're the podcast host. You're allowed to name names.
Exactly. All right. John Byrne is an ass. All right. And again, if he's listening to this, go ahead and try and challenge me. All right. Because I know he's done this with other people before. I doubt he is listening, but maybe one of his minions is. But you're an ass. Okay. It's as simple as that. Your work might be great. I might enjoy some of your stuff. All right. But you're an ass. You're an ass, okay? Well, meanwhile, Rob Liefeld is a very nice person. And I might not happen to like his books, but at least he's a nice person. That much I can say about it.
Onslaught number 3, didn't come out. I'm not picking that up, but I just remember reading on the internet or something. He was mad about it not coming out on time.
Yeah.
Even though he had finished it, something with scheduling or something.
Yeah.
So he took up his video camera, had printed the issues out on 8x11 paper or whatever, or I guess the boards he does. It wasn't lettered, but he took his video camera and basically did it was like a video of the comic, and he had the
great.
Thor fights Hulk, boom boom, with the lame sound effects that we would do sometimes, and took it page by page and gave you the entire comic.
That's pretty cool.
So, I mean, that's dedication. I mean, he was done. It was colored, and he was mad about it. So he said, "Fine, I'll put it up on YouTube, and everybody who likes my work can see it, and this will tide them over till I guess it came out a month after that."
And I mean, that's a guy who, in some cases, very unfairly got a bad rap for stuff. I don't really follow his work, so I'm not going to comment one way or another. Hell, I'm not commenting on anybody that's made a career out of this because I work a day job, so I'm not entitled to bitch about anybody, whether they've been doing it for a year or 30 years. Yeah. But he got knocked by a number of people, and here's a guy that, this is his livelihood. I'd be a little honked off, too, if in developing a reputation of things being late, which I'm, currently cultivating. When it's not your fault, you want to tell people, no, this one isn't me, look. So, more power to him.
Yeah. And again, proving to people out there, I'm not always a Liefeld basher. Just want to say that. To everybody out there, okay? I might not like his work sometimes, but very nice person from what I've seen. And he was at New York Comic Con and seemed to be very friendly at New York Comic Con to a lot of the people who came up to him. So, thank him for that. But let's actually go with the delays, because that's a good thing to bring up. I know that you mentioned in passing, Steve, that indie books you can sort of let slide. I mean, I know that you yourself have had some problems, getting the book out, quote unquote, on time, even though there was no set date at times. But are you more forgiving with indie books than you would be for the big two when these scheduling issues arise? Or is it sort of the same thing to you when a big two book is late than an indie book?
I'll let Brent go first.
Okay.
Because I've already kind of stated where I come from.
Yeah.
I think, I can't remember, but I think there was a couple times where I thought Revelations was going to be there, and it wasn't. I mean, it was always a pleasant surprise when it was there. I mean, it was a little more forgiving because, I had other stuff to read, whereas, if you're jonesing for a Batman story or, the 3D issue of Action Comics, and then they say, oh, it's not coming out for another 4 months. And you're going, well, this guy's a DC exclusive artist, and, these are exclusive creators, what's the deal here? And it's a little less unforgiving for a big company than it is for an indie book, I would say yes. Because with an indie, it might just be that creator working on it if it's somebody writing and drawing their own thing, or Steve's drawing and inking the work at the same time. So it's a limited number of people, and that if you read Steve's post on the board and stuff, he's got other jobs, so he's doing this after he eats dinner, hopefully after he gets home from his day job. So I mean, and maybe
can I leave that damn webcam on again, Brent? You didn't get the shot of me picking my nose, did you?
How's that pizza going?
No, not settling well.
If Steve wants to watch Heroes instead of drawing, fine. I mean, whatever.
The sad thing is I haven't watched a TV show where I'm not drawing. Well, no, I take that back. I've watched both of the story finales of Veronica Mars this season while I'm not drawing. But everything else has been, I'm drawing while I watch.
I really hope it comes back. I really, really hope it comes back, man, because it's on the brink of cancellation, and I really hope it comes back. I'm such a huge fan of Veronica Mars.
Oh, I love it. And my son told me he wants Kristen Bell to be his new mom. So,
He luck for that one.
So again,
but the damn restraining order's getting in the way, so I don't know.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, they've actually pitched an idea of going 4 years in the future and having Veronica be a first-year FBI agent.
Which, I'm okay with that as long as two things remain intact. The writing teams, especially, Rob Thomas, the creator, and as long as you keep Veronica's relationship with her dad, with Keith, I think everything else, I'm okay with.
And let's specify, that's Rob Thomas, the writer, not Rob Thomas, the singer. Just wanted to
Right.
I have to say, that guy's a talented guy.
I got confused about that at first when I heard that Rob Thomas created Veronica Mars. I'm like, that dude is everywhere.
He was on tour when that thing came out.
He's working on that cloning technology. He's all over the place.
I guess so, yeah.
But no, can I chime in on the indie thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, on the schedule thing, because I appreciate anybody saying that they cut indie creators a little slack. Thank you, Brent. But it's one of those things where, and this is not meant to sound like a pity party or sour grapes, because I'm doing this on my own.
Yeah.
But most indie books do sell. I wish Mayo was on right now. We could ask John. Most indie books, like a good number for an indie book is, between 2,000 and 3,000 units. And, the creative team is probably going to make, let me do some real quick math.
Pizza and a hot dog.
Maybe $3,000 tops for that, to pay a penciler, an inker, a writer, a colorist, a letterer, all that.
So it's like $1 for a book, for like a $3 book?
Right. And so, $3,000 sounds like a lot of money until you say, well, I spent about 16 hours penciling and inking it.
Yeah.
And the colorist spends 6 to 8 hours, coloring a page, and there's 22 pages in there. And, by the time you break it down, you're like, hey, I made $3 an hour. Good for me. So there's, I guess what I'm getting at is, you got to be able to work the day job. And I'm not complaining, because I'm thrilled that anybody wants to read this stuff.
Yeah.
And, it would be great to be able to make a living. It's so strange, to hear, Civil War sold 300,000 units. I'm like, our print run is 3,000. That's like 100 times as many, books as we sell. And, I always kind of have, like, if we could have 7,500 to 10,000 for a pre-order, I could quit my job and do this full time.
Yeah.
And, of course, then I would have no excuse for being late on the book. I mean, if we had those kind of numbers, it would be clockwork, 6 issues a year or whatever.
Actually, what Brent said before is probably the best way that I look at it. It's a pleasure when I see a certain book that I like on the shelves. It doesn't matter when it's coming out. Doesn't matter how late it is to me. Certain indie books, when I see it on the shelf, I'm just pleasantly surprised that it's there. And even some of the big two is like that. I mentioned that before about All-Star Superman. All-Star Superman is a book, I don't care how late it is. When it comes out, I'm happy it's there.
Well, because it's good every time it comes out.
Exactly. And with the indie books that I'm reading, they're good enough where I am just happy that they are in my hand, about to be read. I don't care when it is. I don't care how late it is. If it's good quality stuff, I'm happy to be buying it. And that's the best way to put it. So I will think about that very differently than the big two. However, if it's a book that is, say, a year late or a year and a half late, Frey, I'm looking at you, okay?
Is that canceled or
no? Frey was the Joss Whedon
Buffy
Future thing that came out ages ago. But now he's working on the Buffy season 8, and if he does something like that with Buffy, I think there will be a major like fan charging the gates of Joss Whedon's house thing going on. But
oh no, they would not.
Oh come on, man, you know it.
Come on, people worship Joss Whedon like he's Jesus, and I don't understand it really.
Well,
I've read his astonishing stuff, and frankly, I wasn't that impressed.
Okay, one thing about Frey though, and I'm not sure exactly how it all worked out. But I know that Joss Whedon had written it, but Carl Moline was the artist. Mm-hmm. And halfway through the series, Moline got a job with CrossGen.
Okay.
And he went down there and was working on Route 666.
Uh-huh.
and he was going to be finishing up Frey in his spare time. So, I mean, that may have been part of it, too. And I don't want to make excuses for anybody, especially, when I don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
But I remember on the CGS boards, someone commented about, how late the third issue of Dave Stevens' Rocketeer was.
Uh-huh.
And that was a book that was actually held up in legal limbo when Kamiko went under. So I know there are stories that, we're not always privy to. And in a lot of ways, I don't want to be privy to stuff, especially if it involves two creators fighting with each other or something. I don't need to know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I think I tend to cut books a lot of slack because of things like that, where it's like, I don't really know the whole story. And actually, when you were talking about John Byrne earlier, in his Next Men book, he used to have a column in the back, a text thing, that he wrote called A Flame About This High. And he just kind of wrote about people talking about, convention experiences that they've heard second and third hand about creators or, gossip and stuff like that. And the question was, were you there?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of this stuff I don't want to know. I don't want to know if I'm going to make something up. This is entirely fictitious.
Okay.
I don't want to know if Ben Licious and Francesco Francavilla of the Black Coat secretly send each other pipe bombs or something. I just want to read the book.
I certainly don't want to know that either. So
exactly.
Yeah, but again, what I was just saying is that there has to be a limit to the lateness. You can't expect.
So you don't want to know that my book is late because I'm always searching the internet for fetish pictures of Kathy Lee Gifford dressed as a dominatrix.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't want to know that, nor would I ever want to know that about anybody, whether or not they're doing a book or whether or not they're my friend. But just in general, I'd say maybe 6 months is like my own personal limit for a book. Where, again, if it's 6 months later and I see it on the shelf, oh, wow, that's great. 7 months, 8 months, maybe even. But if it's a year and a half, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Skip over it, go to the next one.
So you're not going to get All-Star Batman?
And, ladies and gentlemen, the All-Star Batman mention of the episode by Brent Casino, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sorry, I'm still going to get that when it comes out.
Dude, are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, God. More power to you.
I have Jim Lee posters on my wall.
More power
I'm going to get it.
to you. Okay, that's all I have to say.
And it will sell.
Hey, I refused to pick up that issue that was solely the fold-out cut, that fold-out of the Batcave.
Hey, they got out of the car on that one. It's a good issue.
Yeah, just like Moon Knight left his house. No, but literally, if you're more than like about 6 or 7 months late, then you got to have a damn good reason for it.
But see, they finally said why it was late. See, if you're like 6 months late and you're not, and there's no like reason why anywhere on the internet or in a magazine or whatever, then I would be mad. But Jim Lee owned up to it and said, I'm late, trying to do 2 books a month and run a company and all this stuff. And then DC came out in the convention season and said, yeah, we're going to pile it up so that we can release it on a monthly or bi-monthly basis so that you guys won't have the wait between issues. So, my animosity became less when they said that. Because I know it's going to come out eventually, and it's going to come out on a scheduled, thing.
Are you guys picking up Jack of Fables?
No.
I'm really bad about all the Vertigo stuff. I know it's going to get traded, so I've been getting it in trades. A friend of mine's doing the inking.
Oh, cool. Okay, because, the reason why I was going to mention that is because from what I know, and again, this could be different than what I'm saying here, but from what I know, there was an arc that was started. Issue 1 was released of a Jack Frost 2-parter in Jack of Fables, where the first part was released, the second part was delayed. And as opposed to waiting for that second part to come out, they started the next story arc. And whenever that second part gets released, it will be released in Jack of Fables. So they actually went on with the next storyline rather than holding up the book. And
kind of like Wonder Woman in Action Comics.
Exactly. Yeah, not everybody has that luxury, obviously. Not everybody has the luxury of having the next arc started already. Because obviously it depends on who the artist is, who the writer is, and such. But that's what I like to see. Books where they take the initiative, realize they're going to be late on something, either get the fill-in artist in there or get the fill-in, arc in there so that you're not missing a beat if it's an ongoing.
I have no problem with that. And again, if you go back to the indie stuff and the fact that indies probably work best as miniseries, it's not a viable alternative. But in terms of, like, ongoing mainstream books, I remember in the middle of a big Steve Englehart storyline in the Avengers, back in my day, it would have been like around the 140s. It was like a 3-part Tony Isabella fill-in that was right in the middle of the storyline, and I was able to adapt. And I mean, with the Jack of Fable stuff, DC knows that, or Vertigo knows, they'll put it in the right sequence in the trades. And right now, people, they're smart. They can go back to the issue that started the storyline and fill in the blanks. If I could do that when I was 11 with an Avengers book, I'm pretty sure that the Vertigo crowd can figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, if people are smart enough to do that, then that's perfectly fine. But again, like I said, for ongoing indie books or at least Vertigo and stuff like that, I want to see stuff like that, as opposed to the delays. If you can jump on it fast enough and make that great decision, then I'm gonna like you even more.
Right.
Yeah, and you just proved to me that you want to put your book out regularly, which hell is better than most. So that much I'm gonna say. Okay, so here's where this episode leaves off at about the hour and 10-minute mark, as we have about another hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes left with Steve Bryant that we're going to have on part 3. On that episode, we go in depth on Athena Voltaire and get to the bottom of the story itself, and also talk about Steve's career a bit more, and also go into a whole bunch of other topics as well later on in the episode. So I figured this is probably the best point to split this episode up, so hence that's why I'm doing it like this. So probably that will be out sometime either this upcoming week or early next week, depending on when I can get to it, as this upcoming weekend I'm going to be at Anime Boston. So any of you guys who happen to be going out to the anime convention in Boston this upcoming weekend, well, make sure to check out the Adult Swim Revolution panel and the American Animation panel, as I will be doing both of those with my girlfriend Chris. So hopefully it will be good times for all involved there, and I'm going to try and get the next hour and 15 minutes of this done before that happens. And from there, we've got plenty of great stuff coming up, and a reminder that the next 22 pages that we're doing is Nova number 1. It is now out on the stands. So if you haven't picked up Nova number 1, or it's not in your DCBS order for the month, I highly recommend picking it up, as probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks we're going to have a in-depth discussion on Nova number 1. And also, we're getting ready for our anniversary here on Comic Timing, and we'll give you more information on that forthcoming. But until then, that's pretty much all I have to say here. I want to thank Steve Bryant for joining us here, and obviously the rest of the interview will be done when the next episode comes out, and you can find his stuff over at athenavoltaire.com. And obviously, Brent Cassina, Nightwing BK on the forums, thank you to him as well. And his BK's Bullets can be found on ragingbullets.com. And the most recent Raging Bullets that just came out has a joint effort between him and myself doing a review of Raging Bullets number 1. It's a lot of fun, and it's about an hour and 14 minutes into the episode there, so go ahead and give that a listen if you have a chance. It's, I believe, episode 46, part B, if I remember correctly, so go ahead and check that one out. But that's pretty much it here, so let's just go on to the ending. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the forums over at cgspodcast.com/forum, which are graciously hosted by the Comic Geek Speak guys over at comicgeekspeak.com. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com. Please vote for us on Podcast Alley. The links are in the show notes, and there are a whole bunch of listings for Podcast Alley on the Comic Timing forums you can go ahead and check out. And also, please dig us on dig.com. Same listing is available on the Comic Timing site for dig.com. And also, if you can, please send us your iTunes reviews on iTunes. That would be graciously appreciated. So once more, for Steve and for Brent, I'm Ian Levinstein, reminding everybody that there's always time for comics. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you for part 3 sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Are you laughing at me?
No.
That's the roommate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Brent's roommate. If you hear any random background noise that doesn't sound like it's coming from either one of us, that's Brent's roommate.
Okay, I thought I was like rambling, and they're going, oh, geez, Grandpa's on a tear now, look out.
As long as his roommate doesn't start sneezing, then we're good. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
might
anyway.
get a bit of a cold.
See, I'm in that magical stage of sleep deprivation and excessive amounts of caffeine.
Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just got done with a lovely sushi dinner with some green tea, so I'm raring to go myself. And I'm on like 5
excellent.
hours sleep, so it's a good way to do a podcast, I gotta say.
How about you, Brent? Are you slap happy too?
I didn't get much sleep last night, and I've been through class all day in meetings. So I have to say yes.
Good, we've got the trifecta. Let's go fight crime, boys.
Yeah, see, that's what I've always thought. That's why you put on tights. You're so damn sleep deprived. You don't know what you're wearing.
Hey, this looks like a good fashion choice. It's like the McDonald's commercial. Is it McDonald's that had somebody miss snack time?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's somebody missed snack time. Yeah, and that's why they put on those clothes.
I hope you like what you did with the doghouse. We don't have a dog.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's good times.
Congratulations. You have been selected to receive 2 free iPod Nano.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Fucking internet.
What was it?
Oh my god, dude.
It's one of those banners on the top. You click on the webpage and trying to go to a link, and it's got something that speaks up about winning iPod Nanos.
Oh my god.
At least
Did we win? Did we win?
That out.
Yeah,
No, you never win.
Did we win?
You never win.
No? Aw, damn it. I wanted to
Well,
sell on the black market.
I'm saving my luck for the lottery tonight because I want to be the next crazy millionaire to start a comic company.
Yes, indeedy. Haha. Go and
Yeah.
check out DL.TV for Patrick Norton and Robert Heron from the Tech TV years as they do their own version of the screensavers. Yeehaw.
Are they paying for your advertising?
No.
Okay, then stop.
Wait, and yet again, do you actually think this is going anywhere but the end of the show? Come on, man.
Well, trying to help you out here.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, but tangent number 1. There you go. But
That's Tech TV. For those of you interested,
I guess we'll start with you, Brent. Are you there, Brent? Hello? Okay, I guess
We
he's
lost
not.
him.
No, he's here, but he must be away from the computer at the moment, being Brent like he is. So, all right. For those of you who actually decided to keep listening once the credits were over, you're in for a treat. This is the first 20 minutes of what was originally going to be episode 20 of Comic Timing. This was recorded back in September 2006, and let's call it part of the anniversary celebration for Comic Timing a little early here, as this is before the recording went to hell. And, well, this is, again, it's very rough. I did not edit any of this, so I'm warning you about that, okay? So all the uhs and ers and you knows are probably still going to be in there. And this is before we originally lost Steve Bryant, and the episode was still in sync at this point. So we're hearing right here Matt Summer, myself, and Steve Bryant on the aborted episode 20 of Comic Timing. Enjoy, and, well, we'll see you for episode 36, part 3, later this week. Later, gang. I think we can probably get this ball rolling here. So, just to do a quick run through of what we're going to be doing. I asked people on our forums to give some questions that they wanted to ask you, Steve. So we'll run through those probably about midway through the podcast or something along those lines. But basically, I'm just going to be talking about maybe a little bit about your career, a little bit about independent comics in general, and obviously the evolution of Athena Voltaire, as it were, from where it started out to where it is now, from the webcomic days to the comic days of today and something along those lines. So the basics, as it were.
Just covering all the publishers I've sunk along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, how exactly did you torpedo Speakeasy, Steve?
Well, they loaded the tubes for me. Come on. It didn't take much.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, if you do want to talk about Speakeasy a little bit, we can, but
no.
Try. I know.
Whatever.
Be gentle.
I'm pretty much over it. Occasionally the dreams come back, but, the doctor says a few more months in therapy and I'll be fine.
Now, in these dreams, are there, horrible, horrible nightmares of, Peter Rios with a knife or something along those lines? Or?
No, it deals with me chasing around Adam Fortier saying, $2. $2.
Oh, my dear God. I don't even want to know.
No. Better Off Dead reference there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Classic.
Well,
Sorry,
I'm
I should have
really old.
acknowledged
Bear
it.
in mind, I'm older than dirt, so...
Well, I'm probably older or about as old as you, so I'm 35.
41.
Oh, okay, well, you're still older, but... Close enough. Close enough.
Great.
Ian's like some kind of fetus, so...
Yeah, actually, I'm a pod person. I recently hatched about maybe 2 months back, so that makes sense.
Explains everything.
Exactly. That's why I have this, deep voice that really doesn't fit the body of a 22-year-old, but it just happens to be there.
Yep, and that sweet, sweet broadcasting timing and pauses.
Hey. Welcome, everyone. Okay, yeah. All right, so I'll count this baby down, and then we'll get rolling unless anybody has any questions that they want to ask. Any questions? Anybody?
No.
Guess
Okay.
now we'll just see how it goes.
All right, cool. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey there, folks. Well, we made it. It is episode 20 of Comic Timing. And to celebrate, woohoo! To celebrate episode 20 of Comic Timing, everybody is sick except for me. How about that? And everybody this episode is the man from the land of beer. He is Matt S.
How's it going?
Doing pretty well, Matt, and you're surviving, at least. That's a plus.
Yeah, I'm in a huge, gigantic germ factory every day with 2,400 possible germ constructors, so I'm bound to get something sometime. And my mental faculties are failing me based on that last sentence. You can tell that I am not my usual sharp self.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get that pencil sharpener out at some point during here and get yourself a bit sharper. By the way, what you just described sounds like it could be a really good comic book.
It could be. I don't know. It's not a really good reality, so maybe it'll be a better fiction story. I don't know.
Well, a man who knows very, very much about the comic book industry, as he is a part of it. He is Steve Bryant, artist on Athena Voltaire and co-creator of Athena Voltaire. Steve, how are you?
Hypochondriac germaphobe.
That works.
I'm not in the germ factory, but I pretend to be.
Well, the good news is that you have this giant, World Wide Web separating you from Matt right now, so you're not bound to catch whatever he has right now, so you're safe.
I don't know, Ian. I keep hearing about all these computer viruses and things you can get. Are you sure that's true?
Well, last I checked, you weren't able to actually get a computer virus unless they've upgraded those, but hopefully that won't be the case.
Just don't open any email attachments, Steve.
Well, I've got on the rubber gloves and the doctor mask.
Okay.
I'm pretty much like a cross between Howard Hughes and Michael Jackson without the pedophilia or the big bank account. So.
Tissue boxes on your feet.
Yes.
You're
All right.
you're
gonna
describing
watch
a
Ice
Japanese person right now.
I'm going to watch Ice Station Zebra in a couple of minutes, too.
Oh, great.
I just have that, like, I don't know, I have this secondhand knowledge of that whole thing based on Mr. Burns in the Mr. Burns Casino episode. That's like how I know anything about Howard Hughes' crazy dementia.
Most of my understanding of Howard Hughes comes from the Warren Zevon, not Warren Zevon, Stan Ridgway's song, I Want to Be a Boss. So it's Stan Ridgway of Wall of Voodoo.
All right, secondhand knowledge always the best.
Exactly.
We're already getting to the rock and roll references, so it's going to be one hell of an episode. You're damn right about that. So let's start things off, actually. Obviously, Steve is here to talk his career and to talk a little Athena Voltaire, and isn't it just absolutely fitting that I'm on the Comic Geek Speak forums right now, and the first thing that I see is the advertisement for Athena Voltaire with the lovely slug by Warren Ellis. Imagine if the likes of The Mummy and Van Helsing were actually, good. Which are immortal words right there by Warren Ellis. And I got to say, that's pretty much one of the reasons why I ended up picking up the book. Well, that and everybody was telling me, pick up the book, pick up the book, pick up the book. And I absolutely love Athena Voltaire, man. I got to say, I'm on the bandwagon for this already.
Well, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
That superliminal advertising worked.
Hey, well, look, when Warren Ellis says something's good, one of two things is going to happen. Either the world's going to implode or people are going to purchase this product. And I think people have purchased the product, so I think you're pretty well off on that.
Well, Steve, like, for those of us that don't know this kind of stuff, like, how do you get a quote like that from somebody?
For some of the quotes I've gotten, I've actually pursued like friends or people that I know, through another individual or something. But with the Ellis one, he put out a call on the Bad Signal mailing list when he was exploring webcomics and said, hey, if anybody does a webcomic, send me a link. If I like it, I'll post it on my blog. And he made that, he did the quote, and I don't even know if we're on his radar at this point, but he's
back whenever really that was. It was. Okay.
It was about a year ago, probably about a year ago. But he's probably got to be really sick of it by now, and he'll beat me to death with his cane if I ever meet him.
And trust me, he wields a cane pretty much as well as House, so...
I just got to dodge and weave, and I should be okay.
Okay,
but if he gets the element of surprise on me, if he gets the drop on me, I'm dead.
Proving once again that Warren Ellis is the Punisher in real life. But
you seem like a pretty hale and hearty guy, Steve, so I'm sure you could outmaneuver him.
Well, I got to work on the cardio, so I hear he gets winded fast.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
well.
No, you're going to get me into like giving him ammo for him to want to beat my ass.
Well, unless Warren Ellis is listening to this, you should be pretty well off, buddy.
He has minions.
That is true. He has legions of evil minions out there.
Oh, please! In fact, I remember if I remember correctly, actually, he had to stop posting on his live journal because too many people were like soliciting work for him on there, and obviously you're not supposed to do that. So he had to like literally post everybody. I like LiveJournal, but you guys have basically forced me off of it. So just watch my feeds and go to MySpace. So everybody loves that Warren Ellis. But people love Steve Bryant, as has been the sales so far. How have the sales numbers been for the Ape Entertainment volume of Athena Voltaire #1 so far?
I think we're selling about 0.5 percentage point of Civil War.
Which is better than most. So there you go.
That's true. I mean, for an indie book, I was responding on a message board where someone was talking about what does Fear Agent moving to Dark Horse do for them. And it's kind of the same type of thing with us where our print run, I think our initial orders were like 2,200 for the first issue, which, on the one hand is colossally depressing when you look at, Civil War doing 300,000. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, indie books, if you're over 1,600, your printing is paid for. So, we're at least turning a profit. Nobody's really making a good wage for the work they're doing, but a lot of people lose their shirt on this kind of thing. So that's where we are right now. we overprinted pretty significantly. So hopefully we'll be able to sell out.
Well,
Is that too much
you're getting
information?
there.
Am I the too much information guy now?
No, that's fine. You know what? Actually, if you don't mind, because I gotta say that the only thing I was able to find, the only book of yours I was able to get a hold of today was the first issue of the Speakeasy series. So maybe can you walk us through a little bit, like how did this whole thing get started? Like how did you come up with it? Where did it start? You know, how did it work as a webcomic? Like what gave you that idea? All that kind of stuff.
Okay. I guess it was probably around 99 or 2000 that I was trying to that I started trying to break in as a penciler. I started working as an illustrator in role-playing games around 89 and worked on staff at a couple of companies, but never really thought I was good enough to try to break into comics, and finally decided to just go with it probably around 2000, and went to a bunch of cons, and I've heard all of the answers. You're this close, you're 85% of the way there. If this were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, I could give you work. It all seemed to be that I was kind of right on a border of being able to get in, but my work isn't really suited to, or at least 5 years ago it wasn't suited to doing superhero stuff. It seems like that's kind of changed now, where you've got guys like Steve Epting and Michael Lark doing the traditional superhero look that was a little more prevalent like 5 years ago isn't quite so much there, but I'm like the king of the tangent. I apologize.
No, I mean, is that like something? Is that something that you wanted to do? You wanted to get involved in doing superhero comics?
I wanted to do comics, but I don't. I obviously don't have like a Kirby-esque sense of action, and I couldn't figure out a way that I could enjoy drawing superheroes. I'll enjoy reading them, but to get the things in that I like to draw, I couldn't figure it out back then. Now, there have been these guys that are kind of drawing upon the same influences that I have, and I think I'd like to work up some samples, because that's going to make you a lot more employable.
Right.
But yeah, at the time, I just realized that, calling somebody up and saying, "Hi, this is Steve. I met you at, such and such con. I'm the guy that had the Starman pages." No, yeah. I'm the guy that had the Starman pages with Solomon Grundy. No, that's a different guy. I'm the guy that did Starman, Solomon Grundy, and, took place partially in Opal, and then it went out to the swamp. Yeah, that's me. You got to narrow it down, because there's so many other people out there doing this. So, my thought was just kind of to do something that was my own, and I had wanted to do some pulp stuff for years, and had the name Athena Voltaire kind of banging around my head. So I called up another illustrator friend of mine, Paul Daly, who's just an encyclopedia of pulp stuff and film stuff, and asked him if he'd like to write it. And we just kind of took off from there, shopped it around. No interest from anybody. And I mean, the work was decent, but it certainly wouldn't have, set the world on fire.
Yeah.
So a guy that Paul had known previously was going to be editing a webcomic site that was starting up, and called AdventureStrips.com. And, they kind of invited us to pitch. We sent them the print proposal. They loved it, and we were off and running.
Now, when that was as a webcomic, was that just standard, like, comic book page style comic, or was it more adapted to the internet sort of style?
Actually, with Adventure Strips, the original specs were, I think it had to be like 600 pixels wide or 700 pixels wide, and X number of pixels tall. So, it was kind of a strip, horizontal type of format.
Okay.
And we did the first story arc, and just as we were finishing the first story arc, Adventure Strips closed down, and we were told we could fold into the sister site called Modern
Okay.
Tales.
Mhm.
And Modern Tales didn't have the dimension size regulations. But, we kind of looked and said, well, we've done 30 pages. Let's do the second story in the same format, too, because eventually I'd like to collect these in print. So, we kind of stuck with that and did 2 stories, like 85, 86 pages, all told. And then we started formatting for print, and that's when things started to move forward with like Speakeasy and stuff like that.
Now, how difficult was it to actually get the attention of a small little independent publisher like Speakeasy off the bat? I mean, did you have to shop yourself around until finally Speakeasy bit? I mean, were there other, did you shop it around to multiple independent companies until finally you found what you were looking for?
We were really fortunate that the summer that we were targeting to, spring, summer that we were targeting to shop the book, also happened to be when the Eisner Awards added in the category of digital comics. And Steve Connolly, who runs Pulse.com, did Astounding Space Thrills, he was one of the judges for the Eisners that year. And I'm pretty sure that he's the guy that pushed to have that as a category. But we were fortunate enough to get the Eisner nom. And I shopped it around. Right after getting the Eisner nomination, we got 1 rejection, and from our first choice, and that didn't work out. So we shopped it around to a bunch of other people, and Speakeasy offered what was about, what appeared to be the best choice. And of course, this was before all of their all the news was breaking and things were starting to look bad for them. This was, well before that.
So how did the issue that you did for print for Speakeasy, then that was all new material?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we that was the original pitch that we shopped before we did the webcomics.
Oh, okay.
The idea was instead of leading off by releasing the webcomics, which, first of all, we felt that we had kind of grown past, I don't want to say grown past it, but I think when we do release these, you're going to be able to see kind of the progression of what we're going through. But the episodic nature of the webcomic, where every page is kind of a to be continued, and it's really, as opposed to decompressed, it's really compressed. Bang, bang, bang. 1 week they're in one locale, and then the next week they're halfway across the globe, just because we had to keep the story moving. I think that'd be really jarring for that to be somebody's introduction to the character or to us as creators. So we wanted to do something that had more of a traditional comic book narrative flow. And still, I'm looking back at the Ape series, and I keep going, man, I don't like this transition. I wish I could have done something different. So I think the second mini, when we get around to doing that, is probably going to be even smoother. But it's all a learning process.
All right, so my question though, because I was reading that first Speakeasy issue today, and it sort of seemed to me that they were talking when the 2 Nazi guys in the castle, they're talking about Athena Voltaire and all her history and all that kind of stuff. It seemed to me that was sort of I felt maybe I was missing, all that stuff was something that happened in the webcomic already. I thought maybe I was missing it, but you say that actually was the first thing that you did?
Yeah, they're referring to having met her previously, but we never showed that in the webcomic. It's more just trying to, we get the indie comparison a lot. So I'm going to use this as an example. Belloc.
Right. No, I was just going to say, I don't know where that comes from. Not at all. I don't see it.
Gee.
Don't see it at all. But okay, yeah, right. So you just wanted to create sort of an implied backstory that really just was never delved into.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, that's one of the cool things about something like Mike Mignola's Hellboy, where you just get the impression that a lot has gone on for this character before we've seen him, and these aren't the only events that go on in his life. And I mean, that's kind of what we tried to do with the first dozen pages of the first issue. You know, we meet her in mid-adventure. It's, again, that Indiana Jones, James Bond thing, where it's not necessarily starting with all the exposition, because, you know, you kind of start with the slam bang beginning, and there are a bunch of indie riffs in there where we acknowledge that, you know, if you're going to play in that playground, how can you not be influenced by it?
Yeah.
So, you know, the big thing was just trying to show that she's not new at what she does, and it's kind of a larger world.
Now, have you considered going back and possibly having some sort of prequel where we do actually see, you know, the beginnings of her adventurer days, perhaps somewhere down the line?
It's weird because there are some stories that, you know, Paul and I just kind of throw out there that I wouldn't mind seeing. We had a fun thing in the webcomic where in the second arc, you know, we revealed that she'd been widowed at a young age, and that's always sad. And, you know, when we did the mini-series, when the Nazis are kind of going over her backstory, you know, clever little expository device right there. You know, Basil Exposition comes right in. You know, there's a little more about the cattle raid and stuff, and that killed her rancher husband. And I do think some of that kind of stuff would be really cool. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how big of stories some of this is. Some of these things are, you know, because in the context of the webcomics and the miniseries, we're kind of starting to build some of the mythology of the character in the world, dealing with, you know, the Hollow Earth and what the Nazis are trying to do with, you know, the Thule Society and the Knights of the Teutonic Order and all these crazy ass things that Hitler actually had, you know, searching for these artifacts. That I'm not sure if we could insert some of the some of the larger than life elements into the early adventures. God, I can't answer a question succinctly, can I? I am so sorry.
That's okay. Ian's a master of editing, so he'll make you sound brilliant somehow.
Oh, of course,
Can you take out
exactly.
all the ums and the uhs?
He usually
It's what
does,
I do on a regular
yes.
basis. It's what I do on a regular basis. That's why I'm here, buddy. That's why I'm here.
So if you don't mind, like, Steve, I don't know if you don't want to go over this material, but maybe we can talk a little bit of influences, because you mentioned obviously Indiana Jones influence, and I know this is a historical event too, but also I was quite surprised to see you tying in the Maltese Falcon into your story.
There's no Maltese Falcon in there. There's a gold.
Steve, you there?
Yikes.
Yeep.
What happened?
Boy.
Man,
Son
this
of a
is
bitch.
going a little rocky.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can get him back in. Well, he said he was having modem troubles before, so